Hey guys, welcome to episode 30 already of the Nurses Outside the Box. Today with another phenomenal nurse outside the box, Cordero Abdullah. So excited to have you here, Cordero. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and congrats on 30 episodes. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a good start, right? I know you are a podcast host as well, right? Together with your wife, a couple of nurses. And you've done a lot of things outside of the box. So I really just want you to start telling about your story and why in the world did you start a podcast? I'm kind of curious about that.
For sure. So I think what makes me a nurse outside the box is a couple things. First off, I think we're all unique in our own way. But I specifically come from a sports background. So I have this really competitive drive to do more than, quote unquote, what's necessary. Mm-hmm. My wife and I, we started the YouTube channel, a couple nurses, basically as a just, why not? Let's just document our experience as we go through nursing school, and hopefully we can help people out along the way. And it's been, 2.5 years now, we've graduated, and we have a good, healthy size following now. So it's really just a place where we can look back years from now and be like, oh, remember we did this, remember we made this video. And now we have a good amount of followers. And then our podcast is called Code Blue and Bullshit. And like I was telling you earlier, it's more or less just an area where we talk about what goes on in the ICU, not very formal. It's just a place that we can kind of vent, and hopefully people can relate to some of the things that we talk about with floor nursing.
Yeah, so I'm curious. So what was the need that you saw? Was the need toward the nurses, or was it need to the general public in general? Or what are you really focusing on? I'm curious. What need do you see?
So especially with the podcast, I think the need is not only for ourselves, because there's a lot of stressors that happen on the floor as a nurse. So it kind of gives us a place where we can sit back and vent and talk about, XYZ happened throughout the day, and I'm so upset that this happened and this happened. So it kind of gives us our own safe place to talk about it. But there's also a lot of new nurses out there that are kind of afraid to talk about some of the things that go on throughout their day, or don't have a bouncing board or anybody to relate to. Thankfully, my spouse is a nurse, so we can talk to each other. But I have colleagues that are like, my husband just doesn't get it, or my wife just doesn't get it. And that's kind of the need that we saw, is just who can relate with me, if that makes sense.
No, totally. And I think it's so appropriate and such a need for it nowadays as well, right? Because also for nurses to just become more visible, right? That's part of my goal as well, is to have nurses' voices be more heard. So I think for that too. But you're right. I have loved your podcast. I saw 2 episodes of it, and it was really funny as well. Very relaxed, very much. You guys feed off each other too in a very nice way. So I love that.
For sure. I'm not sure. are you familiar with, I think her name's Amanda Guarnieri? I'm probably butchering her name.
No, I'm not.
So she pretty much has her own podcast. It's called Nurse Becoming. And she's like a career coach for nurse practitioners. And I listen to her podcast, and she's very soft-spoken, very calculated with her words. And she told us she was going to check out our podcast, and I had to tell her, like, hey, it's a totally different tone on ours. It's a totally different tone. It's not very soft, it's just straight raw.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that. So tell us about your story. I would love to hear a little bit more about your story. How did you get into nursing from sports, right? How did you decide to become a nurse? And then how did you then go to where you're right now within ICU? I'd love to hear a little more.
All right. Okay. So it's a long story, but I'll try to chop it out a little bit. So I originally got a football scholarship to the University of Louisiana Monroe. So I went there whenever I was 19 years old, tore my ACL right before the season started for football, had to go back home for 8 months, and then came back in the spring and ended up finishing out my degree there, started 3 years. But the problem was, I originally wanted to do nursing because both my parents are nurses. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do nursing. I made a C in A&P1. I failed A&P2. I made a D in microbiology, and my counselor was like, do you really want to do this nursing thing? And then my coaches were pretty much saying, hey, like, you're going to be missing out because of clinicals. You're not going to be able to practice as much, which is going to affect your playing time. So I said, after my first year, I was like, forget this nursing, like whatever. It's hard. I can't do it. I'm a collegiate football player, whatever. Fast forward to 2014, I graduate and with a general studies degree. And I'm like, okay, like now what? I don't have a job. I don't have anything for me. And I pretty much decided to go back for my nursing degree, especially after seeing my wife make A's in her prerequisites. I'm like, okay, like I got to do something with myself. So I go back. I just recently graduated last year, just finished up my first year of nursing. And here I am a year into the ICU. And that's pretty much it. And then I kind of told you we started our YouTube channel in the middle of the process as we were in nursing school.
Right.
So that's the short and sweet version of it all.
I'm curious because this was a heck of a year to start your nursing career, right?
Yeah.
With COVID and everything, COVID-19 and everything else that's been going on, Black Lives Matter, COVID-19, everything's been going. How was that? How was that actually? How was your experience during it all?
I mean, it's been really tough for just staff. I feel like we're understaffed, which is not just a Texas problem, but it's probably going on across the nation. So it's just very stressful dealing with policy changes every week, family that can't come see their loved ones that are in the hospital dying. While you're doing like team nursing, so our hospital introduced team nursing to where an ICU nurse and like a universal care, like a step-down nurse, will pair up to take on 4 patients. So that could be any mixture of vented patients or like step-down patients. So that's been stressful, just trying to, as a nurse, you get into your groove or you do things. So then to like pair up with someone else has been tough, and different personalities start clashing. Yeah. So that's been difficult. And then for myself as well, just with the whole movement with the Black Lives Matter. I'm the only African-American male on my floor. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have many people that I can relate to when it comes to being a Black male, for lack of better words. Right. So yeah, it's a lot of stressful things going on, but I do my best to stay optimistic in the middle of it all, because it's all we really can do is try to figure out a solution and not just dwell on the problems.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What do you see in the future for nurses? What do you see for yourself also moving into the future as well?
I think it's an exciting time for nurses. I think we have an unlimited amount of things that we can do. I think that we're going to see more creativity with nursing, as there's always have been. We're going to see more nurses come outside the box, like with your show. Mm-hmm. These people that started off as nurses but have different things, from podcasts to entrepreneurs to books and YouTube channels. I think it's going to be a lot more seeing the actual personality behind who nurses are. And, we're all more than just nurses. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to see going forward in the future.
Nice. How can nurses get in touch with you? Go to your YouTube channel, I assume, but let's go. What's the best way?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. The nursing community on LinkedIn is ridiculous, and I really think that people need to dig into it. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Cordero Abdullah. I'm open to speak with pretty much anyone that's trying to add value or looking for some value. Our YouTube channel is called A Couple Nurses. We do a lot of things on there trying to help newer nurses problem solve. And then, of course, our podcast, Code Blue and Bullshit, it's on Apple, it's on Apple Podcasts, and it's on Spotify. So that's a pretty cool place too. We've been putting a lot of time into that, and hopefully people can check it out.
Yeah,
and
I love it.
Of course, last thing here is if people need to contact us personally, we have codeblueandbull@gmail.com if there's any like business inquiries or people possibly want to come on our show with us.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay. All those we'll put in the links, and everybody who's actually coming on this, if you're seeing this, just like, comment, and share this with another nurse, right? I'm sure there's another nurse who needs to absolutely hear this. I'm curious, and I love what you said about LinkedIn. We haven't really talked about that, but LinkedIn is how I found you, right? I think there is something really phenomenal on LinkedIn. How have you grown so fast on LinkedIn, by the way? I'm curious, just as a side
I
note.
think what's really cool about LinkedIn that's different than a lot of other social media platforms is, first off, they're professional connections,
Mm-hmm.
right? So kind of it quote unquote vets people before they talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, you don't have to be directly connected to someone for them to see your content. So if I see that you posted a podcast, like a podcast article, I can click like on my page, and then anybody that's connected to me, doesn't have to be connected to you, they can see that I liked your podcast. So you literally can grow exponentially if you just engage.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I agree. And it is a fun nursing community. It's how I've grown like crazy too. So I found you as well. Awesome. Well, let's finish up. Let's hopefully people get to your, well, not hopefully, get people to your podcast, to your YouTube channel for your movement. I think you're at the beginning stages of what you're doing, right? You're only just out of nursing school and already to have this kind of movement. I think, I'm excited to see what that's going to hold for you in the future. I would love for you to, yeah, sure, right? I would love for you to end up with saying, if nurses are listening right now, what kind of tip do you have for nurses who are kind of thinking about whatever tip you want to give to nurses? I'll leave it open to you. What is it that you would like to tell them? Any nurses listening right now?
Mm-hmm. I would say what's most important is taking care of yourself and self-care, because everything that we do all day is taking care of other people, taking care of families. So I think a lot of times you can get lost in what's good for myself and what's good for my mental health. Yeah. So I would say, be sure to be conscious that you have somewhere or someone that you can talk to, and that you take care of yourself. And just as a little side spin off of that, that's something I had to learn a lot. And my wife helped me with that. She's helping me, get a pedicure or, get a massage. Today you don't have to do anything. Just sit down and binge watch TV all day. It's just like find an outlet for self-care, for sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming on the show. This was a wonderful show. Guys, again, like it, post it, let's share it. And good luck with your YouTube channel, everything you're doing. I think you're making a big difference. Thanks so much.
Anna-Marie. I appreciate it.
And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next show. And like I said, please like and share and post this. Thanks, guys.
Bye.